Cool.
Quick smattering of the old Wessex range. It actually says so on Wessex site, Wessex Blades range, so he doesn't know the prices on that section. Right, it's the Merlin. What I get these in 01, which is the carbon steel everybody thinks they want. But what I do is I put a Borrolina grind on and then a convex micro bevel. So right at the end, I've just convexed it over. So the actual tip, you compensate it for the fact it's a leaner grind, but behind the tip edge, it's still stronger than what a true Scandi would be, so it chip less. I've actually contoured that slightly, so even big fingers, so we're talking Mark Richardson. Alright, we're talking Rich Techno, his hand will fit in there.
Jesus, cooperate with the camera.
Gorgeous.
Bloody Zorro.
Hello. And then what I do with these is I put them in Kydex sheath. So a mic carter handle, just to make it hard, because I don't want wood rubbing on Kydex. So I make them very hard. Next sort of size up is my Yeoman. I'll be turning up in a minute to buy it. So this is in black walnut. All the high finishes that I do, it's got nothing to do with aesthetics. What it has to do with performance. So that is to get a very low micron finish in order that it glides through whatever medium it's cutting through. Yeah, wood, bone, whatever. A neat handle, but still full size in the hand. On a blade that's 7 inches, make sure you got a 4.5 inch handle, and sacrifice the length of the blade. It's far better to have a big handle and a secure grip. It's not a true Coke bottle. I try and leave them a little bit more full because it gives more power in the cut. Once I start the handles getting larger, I'll make sure they're asymmetric. So you've still got power. The choil now becomes the point where your thumb plant goes in. But when you pick it up at night, you know full well that's the right way round. When you pick it up, that's the way round it is, because you know that it's asymmetric. So a Coke bottle, I don't do those, I make them so they're top and bottom. That comes in a sheath like that. I fold over with a welt. I'm trying to use sort of a vague tiger pattern on it. I'm doing mine for about, at the moment, prices are subject to change, about £130. And this range has got 2 mates missing. Someone sussed the lineage of this actually today for the first time ever. The clue's in the Merlin. And when blokes over 35 hear a Merlin flying over the top, realise that there's model on the body and the flight section of a Spitfire. So the Boudica is even more so. So cockpit, the length of the thing, so it's model on a Spitfire shape. The thumb ramp there is actually functional, it's not just decorative, because that's where your thumb goes to give you power cuts. Still gives decent chest lever grip, all the holds, but again a fuller handle. Once again, asymmetric, you know it's that way around, alright? Those are in 52-100, which is a higher carbon springish steel, and the Danelaw being the middle one. The Thanellaw is as close to a woodlock as I will go. I can do Scandis on them, but I prefer my leaner grind convex micro bevel. I won't mention whatever.
Oh, go on, say it, you know what.
Look at this. This is my version of the Lupu. Working with Dorset wooden blades on this. Great, efficient. And still got a narrow. The original Lupu is quite a straight ruler in shape.
So that's coming in for the money shot.
I think it deserves another close-up, doesn't it? Yeah, look at that. So,
money. And then what I do is, because that is almost as narrow as what a woodlaw is, when your thumb goes there and the thumb goes on top, you're still able to do scoop cuts. A little bit more weight forward, and because the grind, if you have a look at the grind in the light as it's failing, you'll see it's sort of choppy there, but when it gets to the point is more robust, because that is what you will plunge into the hardwood to get the dough from the start. Again, asymmetric, that's for your chest lever, you know that's what it feels like at night. And now we're getting to a plunge at the bottom, there's a weight to it, a bounce to it, and it hangs like that in your hand. So again, you pick it up at night, you know which way round it is. I've got a fold over traditional-ish sort of friction sheath there. They, at the moment, are a little bit more than there because of the leather work involved. Sorry. He moves up to the camp choppers. There's 3 in the section, but the badass, the Enforcer and the Beast aren't with me today. So the Beast is his big brother. He's just the middle one. This is the Marauder. This is an experienced woodman's camp chopper. This is not the sort of kiddie one you do because of the fact that it is a chopper. You need to be able to address the chopping section without plunging into your knees. So you need a vague amount of experience to operate this. If you've got the skills, you can use this to do just about anything because it's got a rocking cut, it's all your chef work. It's got a leaner grind than most choppers, so it will cut your potato without shooting it across the chopping block, so it won't pop the potato when it goes up. It will skin an onion, it will skin a tomato. Again, lean grind and a convex micro bevel initially to 17 degrees, so it's a bit like a Becker. The weight forward design is a bit front forward, but because I've scooped out the choil underneath there, by the time your hand comes in, you're almost on top of it before you start, and drilled out for balance. Bird's head handle, and they generally come in hardwood or micarta. When I get them modelled, I keep the swell of the handle large. You can't add metal to something that's already been cut out, so I make sure I cut it big, a vague idea of what the size of the chap's hands are, and then I can envisage it when I'm actually grinding it for that person. So that's the Marauder. The Berserker. So it is a little berserk, yes, nice drug fuel Viking attack, but that is a very effective tool. Again, drilled out for lightness, but you can still get your hand on top of it. Again, you still get the rocking cuts, but this thing has got a lot more weight forward. By the time you get the sweet spot, which is there, this when we're chopping logs about this size, that is perfectly fine for this sort of size log. Bury it in, lift it up, finish it off. And you've also got that effect when you get the blade halfway down, when the wood starts splitting, you go like that, and now you've literally thrown it open. So that's the Berserker, which is big brother to the Marauder. I've had a few for beasts. One guy presumably ordered 4 a few years ago, but he's ever so slightly longer, and it's got a sort of thing on the back. But it's just for notching. It's like a tracker effect, but at the moment I'm still keeping happy with those 2. Now if I go to this one next, this is my Go-Lock. There's been a long-standing battle with myself and Martindale's. RL do a Go-Lock for the United Kingdom's squad. You can get them for about 30 quid. The only problem is you can't put an edge on it. It doesn't come with an edge. The fold is alright if you know what you're doing, but you end up sending it to me and I put an edge on it and post it back to you.
And where are they made, Scott?
RL Martindale's.
Where are they made?
And well, after a while of trying to convince them, I'll come up there, I'll show you how to make them. I'll show you to teach your blokes how to grind them. You could sell them for 70 quid as Martindale's by hand. I found out they're made in Thailand. So it's registered in England, not made in England. So I've tried and failed. So Duncan from Dorset Wood and says, do your own son. So that's what I've done. Changed the design ever so slightly. Increased the mass slightly to the back, because I can increase the mass slightly to the front. So to balance it out, a fuller handle, a rounded choil, which allows, once again, hand forward. These are in 75 spring steel. Now, when I designed the blade with it, what I took as a guide was Chris Kane's or CS80. So I've gone slightly more basic to get more saturation of the carbon. And then what I do is I invest in a partial bainite heat treat, and what that does, it imparts 10% more toughness in it. And then that is, I'm trying to keep the bainite to the blade edge, but the spine I re-impart a bit of spring by stress relieving the spine of a propane torch. So you should be able to see that in the light. That bends like a springboard. So you've got spring in the spine and bainite, partial bainite within the blade. When I start off at 5 degrees to get it lean behind the edge, because as you know, it cuts grass, I'm allowing it to have less friction behind the cutting edge, but the cutting edge is still tough because it's a convex 17 degree to begin with. And by the time that I've set up the plunge, I haven't got vicious plunge. If you noticed on mine, are not vicious. They're blended in. Because you have a real abrupt plunge on your bevel there that you've ground. To me, that's half a crack. Odour's one on the other side. So what I do is blur it out, so the transition and the grain that's in there is not got an abrupt 5 mil, 5 whatever mil, all on down to 1 mil. It's blended and it's smoothed in. I say comfortable under there is rounded off, comfortable on top, rounded off. The square bit for all your bark scraping and your ferro rod, that's at the other end out of the way. You want the comfort here. And with all my handles, because they're fuller, the jacklaw, woodlaw and all that sort of size scales don't fit. So what I've got to do is invest in more of my cutter or hardwood, and that'll come quite happily in oak or Iroko and all stabilised. The tube handles, which most of my blades come with, you'll have 1 or 2% extra grip. You won't realise why. It's because your hand actually goes into the holes. If there was water, the water would go into the holes. So anytime it's wet, the water comes off of there and you push it in there and you will get the micro extra bit of grip. But you can imagine your finger, your hand, your palm is actually going into the tube punds that I'm using, just to get that extra little bit of your flesh actually going into it. So that would be the Go Lock. I've got a fascination with Japan.